Good morning, America. Good morning, and welcome to the Lightning Strike. Today, I want to talk about something that should concern every American, no matter your politics, no matter your faith. But before I go in, I just wanted to congratulate everyone who took part in the No Kings rally yesterday. I'm told that it was record-breaking crowds all over the country, and even in other places in the world, a lot of people came together to say, we don't want a king in America. And I'm very, 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 very thankful to those who made it. And for those people who did not make it, it was a beautiful day, folks. What are you waiting for? The only thing that I want to emphasize is all of those people who came out to protest, if they could please come out and vote, that is going to make the difference. But today I wanted to talk about a group in Congress, folks, calling itself the Sharia Free America Caucus. Can you believe it? Now let's just stop there for a second. Ask yourself, what does that even mean? And more importantly, why does it exist? The exact list of members is not fully clear yet. It's not formally structured, but I believe there are close to 50 plus members now. But the message that they are sending is loud and clear. They want you to be afraid, folks, afraid of your neighbors, afraid of a religion, afraid of something most people don't even fully understand. Let's bring this back to basics. The United States Constitution, the document that defines this country, says you have the freedom to practice your religion, period. Not just the popular ones, not just the ones that make people comfortable, all of them. And that includes Islam also. Okay. Now, here's where this gets real. Most Muslim Americans are not some outside groups. They are part of this country. They serve in our military. They run businesses. They teach kids. They sit in our communities. They are Americans, folks. Heck, they even, produce and host this program called the Lightning Strike. So when you create something called a Sharia Free America Caucus, what are you really saying? You're saying that one group of Americans is a problem that needs to be dealt with. That is not policy, that's targeting. And it is dangerous because once you start down the road, where does it stop? Today it's Muslims, tomorrow it could be someone else. That's exactly why the founders wrote the First Amendment the way they did. They did not want the government picking and choosing which religions were acceptable. They had seen what happens when that line gets crossed. And let's be honest about something else. Most Americans don't even know what Sharia really means. Yesterday, I ran into a good friend of mine, Pastor Fran Lehman, at the protest, the No Kings rally, and he came and gave me a hug. And I said, "Hey, Pastor, have you heard about this Sharia Free America Caucus?" And his eyes popped up. He was like, "What the heck does that mean?" Most Americans don't know what Sharia really means. For millions of Muslims, it's about personal values, okay? It's not a political way of life. It's how you live your life, how you treat people. It's not about imposing laws on anyone else. The word itself comes from the word shara in Arabic, which means a path, okay, a road. But fear is easy to sell when people don't have the full picture, folks. And that is what that feels like. It's a political strategy built on division because dividing people is easier than solving real problems. It's easier than fixing healthcare, easier than improving schools, easier than creating jobs. Just give people something to fear and you don't have to deliver the results. And while we are arguing with each other, something else is happening. We are being pulled into constant tension on the military front, endless conflicts, rising defense budgets, talk of threats from everywhere that you turn, always a reason to stay on edge. At the same time, on the economic front, working people are being squeezed. I went grocery shopping yesterday after the protest. Folks, costs have gone up tremendously. Sheila, you won't believe it. I saw a watermelon, and not at Whole Foods, A watermelon at the international market in Naperville for
Mm.
$13, $12.99 for a watermelon, Sheila.
You got to grow it. You got to grow it.
I'm telling you, I took a picture of that just to show my family back home. Come on, guys. So wages are not keeping up, opportunities are shrinking, people feel insecure about their future. And what
Mhm.
happens when people feel insecure? They blame someone else, right? That's
Yes.
when distractions like this become powerful. Because instead of asking hard questions about where the money is going, who's benefiting, and why everyday Americans are falling behind, we are pushed to argue about each other's identity, each other's faith, each other's place in this country. Meanwhile, the people at the top, the political and economic ruling class, keep moving forward, rewriting the rules in ways that benefit them. Regulations get shaped, power gets concentrated, and little by little, the spirit of the Constitution gets chipped away. Not in one dramatic moment, but piece by piece. And most people don't even notice because they're too busy being divided. That's not an accident, folks. That's strategy. Because a divided public is easier to control than a united one. Ever thought of that? America is strongest when we stand up on our principles. And one of those principles is simple. You don't get to decide who belongs based on their religion. That's not what we are supposed to be. The real test of this country is not how we treat the majority, it's how we treat the minorities. It's how we protect the rights of people who may look different, pray differently, or think differently, because those rights protect all of us. So the question tonight is not whether this caucus has the right to exist. They do. The question is whether it reflects the values of this country. And if your platform is built on singling out a religion or keeping people afraid or distracting the public while power quietly shifts upward, then you're not defending America. You're dividing it. And that is a line we should never cross.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, Mohammed?
Yep, we can hear you. Good
It's
morning.
Ahmed. Yeah, this is Ahmed. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ahmed. Thomas will put you on hold for a minute. We have to
Okay.
talk with Ahmad Rehab. Ahmad, it's 8:56. We will continue the conversation when we take the station break with you. And I'm so sorry that I did not see you pop up on my screen over here. So Ahmad Rehab is
No
the
problem.
executive director of CARE, the Council of American-Islamic Relations. Good morning, Ahmad.
Good morning to you.
So I started off with talking about this Republican caucus that is formed, Sharia Free America. I mean, these guys have got nothing better to do except come up with these kind of things to divide us. Can you talk us through what that is, Ahmed?
So supposedly, it is a caucus in the federal Congress that is going to defend Americans against the Muslim clandestine Sharia takeover, whatever that means. So apparently, you and I and all the other 4 million or 5 million or 6 million Muslims that are in America who are 1.5% of the population, unbeknownst to you and me, are somehow plotting to, subjugate the other 335 million to our stringent religious laws that we ourselves are not really involved in. They're not stringent and they're not forced on anybody. Basically, Sharia just means path in Arabic. And in the religious language, it just means the laws of God. And they're applied in our lives on a private basis, personal basis, and community basis. So there are things like how we get married, circumcision for babies, the halal food that we eat. We don't eat pork. We don't eat bloody meat, et cetera, et cetera. Funeral rites, burial, procedures, all these types of things, which other religions have too. In Christianity, it's called canon law. In Judaism, it's called halakha, and so on and so forth. And this group of geniuses are trying to tell us that they want America to be free of our religious practice, which is contrary, of course, to the constitutional freedoms for religion that are enshrined in the founding documents of this country. So not only are they bigoted, they're really, really stupid, and they're anti-American, and it's an embarrassment.
Well, I totally agree with you. And that's what I was trying to explain also in the morning that Sharia means a path, a road, a way. It comes from the word shara, like in Arabic, the word for road is shara, right? Shara this and shara that, road this and
Correct.
road that.
Right.
And
Right. Correct.
what they're trying to do, Ahmed, is they're trying to dehumanize a certain portion of the population so that they can continue to do what they are doing. We are talking with Thomas Gary, who is a veteran, and we are talking about how our elected representatives don't even know what the Constitution is. So for them to expect to know what the word Sharia really means, I think that's a stretch. I mean, these guys need an education.
They don't know anything about their own religion. I mean, they
Yep.
keep saying they follow Jesus, but then they're promoting hatred against everybody who's not exactly like them, except those, of course, whom they fear and whose, let's just say, back end they have to kiss or think that they have to kiss. So, they don't have a moral bone in their body. And it's an embarrassment to the nation. I mean, you have Keith Self, who says that Muslims are the enemy within, Representative Keith Self. You have
Mhm.
Representative Andy Ogles, who says Muslims don't belong here. You have Representative Randy Fine, who's a total weirdo, and he's just been saying crazy things about Muslims, including comparing them to dogs, unfavorably, mind you. And he goes on, and this is like Nazi Germany style rhetoric.
Mm.
And yet, during Congress, no censorship, no censoring them, right, by Congress. Rashida
Yep.
Tlaib just said freedom from the river to the sea for Palestinians. The next thing you know, 235 members of Congress acted to censure her.
Well, we got Dr. Sheila White and Read Bible and Mike Patino, my co-hosts, also on the line over here. It's 9 o'clock. We'll be taking a station break, but we'll continue the conversation over here because we are live on Facebook on the station page and on my page, and we will be posting this conversation on our website, TLS Radio, and our YouTube channels and other channels also after the show. So, continuing the conversation, I want to see if Reed or Sheila or Mike have any questions for you, Ahmed, in this regard.
All
Yeah, I
right.
have a question. I have a question for Thomas as well, as far as the families. They
Well,
don't know what to,
Sheila, if we can come back to Thomas,
sure.
because Ahmed is actually traveling and he's calling in while he's
Okay.
traveling with his family. So if you have any questions for Ahmed, if you could please focus on that for the next couple of minutes, and then we can go back to Thomas.
I have a question for you as well. How does it feel? Because, there are a lot of people that have been marginalized in this country. We talk about, religious discrimination, cultural discrimination. This is something that is still plaguing America. As an African American, I can relate to my history of people being marginalized. This is still happening. What do you think is the solution to this problem? Because America is not getting better. It's not getting great. It's actually reversing. So, what do you think is some of the solutions to eradicate this type of thinking?
That's a great question. I mean, it's also a very deep and wide question. I think the best bet that we have is for those of us who know better to unite and empower ourselves.
Mm.
Because oftentimes in history, the good side has been the weaker side, and the bad side has been the one that has all the self-confidence and gusto and the bully pulpit and the ability to mesmerize audiences. You've seen this time and time again in history. So my thing is, I'm done with that. We're going to stay moral. We're going to stay loving. We're going to stay, good. And we're going to build power. And we're going to fight back. And oftentimes the reason why this fails is because the good side is always trying to be all, too gracious, too forgiving, too kind. I don't believe in that. I don't. I don't believe in being cruel. Kindness is my way. But where those who hate and those who promote evil in the world, we must be strong to fight against them and defeat them. We defeat them in every possible way. If it's a bully on the school ground, physically, you defeat them. If it's hate mongering in Congress, intellectually and spiritually, you defeat that, et cetera, et cetera. And you can only do that united: black, white, Muslim, Christian, Latino, Asian, whatever, right? That's the only way, because they think that by dividing us, they can conquer us. And oftentimes they're right if we fall for it. But We cannot afford to do that. And you're right. African Americans, I have to admit, as a Muslim, as a non-African Muslim, because we have a lot of African American Muslims, nobody can hold a candle. Not that they want us to their suffering and to their and to what they've been through in this country. Not Muslims, not Jews, not nobody. You know, the transatlantic slave trade, the Jim Crow laws, all of this stuff. Absolutely. So that's a key community for us to unite with in fighting against bigotry and racism against all people.
So, Ahmed, can you update us on what is happening in the city, the Chicago City Council, with Deborah Silverstein coming in with her view of of dividing us?
Yeah. So basically, they've been pushing, as has happened a lot in recent history, the exceptional nature of bigotry against Jews, and at the expense of everybody else. You know, I had a case at a local high school where a professor, a teacher who's been there, she's actually a PhD, who's been teaching for many years and is award-winning, was pushed out of the school by certain Jewish organizations putting pressure on the school, not because she refused to teach the Holocaust. She absolutely did teach it, but because she dared teach other forms of genocide along with it. And that was enough for them to go, that's wrong. That's a problem. That's anti-Semitic. And so this notion that if you don't accept the exceptional nature of the suffering, the exceptional nature of the victimhood, the exceptional nature of, attention, then you're anti-Semitic. And I think it's really disgusting. And that's what's happening here a little bit. You know, nobody denies that there's anti-Jewish hate, and nobody in their right mind agrees with it. I'll be the first to say it's something that's horrendous and immoral, and we fight it at Care Chicago all the time. And by the way, we have a lot of Jewish members of our organization, donors, employees, advisory board members, etc. People don't know that, but that's a fact. And so together, we stand up against actual anti-Jewish hate, which we know what that is. It's basically coming after somebody just because they're Jewish. It's the same with anti-Muslim hate, or anti-Black hate, or anti-anybody. You come after them because they're that part of that identity. But what they're trying to do, Deborah Silverstein, the IHRA definition, since International Holocaust Remembrance, and others, is to expand the definition to also include the protection of the Zionist ideology, which is a supremacist, violent political ideology. That's part of anti-Semitism. That's part of fighting anti-Semitism. And I think that report probably does that. So the mayor knows better. He's a student of history. He's a man of morals. And those in his office, and they're like, look, they're probably, and I don't know this because I haven't spoken to them, but probably they're like, wait a second, we know what anti-Jewish hate is and we stand against it, but we're not interested in playing this political game where you expand the definition to protect those who are for genocide or are racist themselves, violent in their supremacy against people around the world, especially in Palestine, and then to say that you can't criticize this. And if you do, you're anti-Semitic.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So, folks, we need to be on our toes. We need to be on our toes. We need to hold these elected representatives accountable. That's Ahmad Rehab, who joined us today. He is the Executive Director of CARE, the Council of American-Islamic Relations. And Ahmad, thank you so much. I know that you are on the road with your family. Thank you for joining us again. And we will continue the conversation with Thomas Gary over here. And we got about 5 minutes before Congresswoman Marie Newman joins us in the conversation with her take on.
Thank you, Mohammed. I just want to say I'm a fan of the show. I've been a fan of the show for a long time. And so thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Ahmed.